Okay, we are going to head back into the world of Photopea today and start with a project called Things I Love. So you're going to click on New Project. Your new project name is going to be Things I Love. The size is going to be 1080 by 1080. The DPI is going to say 72 and the background is going to stay white. You're going to click Create. You're going to come up with a screen that looks like this. First thing we want to do is we want to put a heart shape on there. So we're going to go over here and find our shape tool, which is down here near the bottom right above the hand. When you hover over it, it says rectangle. When you click and hold, you get the menu of shape options. And we're going to choose custom shape. And I'm going to find my heart, which is this one. Now I want to change my fill. It might be another color. Last color I used was red. I'm going to choose the one with an X in it. That means there won't be anything in the center of my heart when I draw it. I'm going to click on stroke, and I want it to be black. Black's not an option, so I'm going to go ahead and choose my color, which red is an option, and now I have black as a choice. So I'm going to choose black. I'm going to choose the drop down for my points, for how big and I want this to be 10. So I'm just going to change it to 10. I can click on the drop down and drag it, but sometimes it's just easier to click 10. So now it's hard for me to get back. There we go. You want it to be 10 pixels, okay? Okay, so now I'm ready to draw my heart. So I'm going to click and hold until I get a heart shape. I don't want my heart to be as big as the paper because we're going to be putting some stuff around it. Okay, so that's a pretty good size. Now I'm going to click on the Move tool, which is this first tool right here, so that I can move my heart around the page. Now notice that when you're moving it around, you get these little red lines. That tells you that right now it is centered in the page in one direction, and then if I move it now, it's centered in the page perfectly. So I'm going to let it go, and my heart is in the middle of the page. Okay, so now we have our heart gone. We're going to come over here to the layers, and I'm going to rename this layer to heart so I can keep it all straight. You can see it in the thumbnail. That's what this little tiny square is called right here. It's called the thumbnail, but it's also easier if you name it so that it's easier to see anyway. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this layer Lines and Colors. Hit enter when I'm done. So now I have 3 layers: my background, my heart, my lines and colors. So the next thing we want to do is draw our lines. We need to think of things that we love. Maybe you love sports. Maybe you love anime. Maybe you love animals. Maybe you love books. You're going to want at least 10. Okay? You're going to want at least 10 things that you love. So think about how many you want before you get started. And then we're going to come over here. We're going to choose our brush tool, which is this one right here. Okay? And we're going to click on that, on the brush tool. We want the brush tool. We're going to come up here to the brush size, which is this little second icon here, and click on that. We want our size of our brush to match our stroke from the outside. Well, our stroke from the outside was a 10, so we're going to change this to 10, and we're going to click off of it. Now we have a size 10 brush. We want to keep our blend mode the same. Our opacity should be 0. Opacity should be 100%. Our flow should be 100%. And our smoothness, we want to change to 50. Okay? Okay, so these should be your settings. 10, normal, 100, 100, 50. Then we're going to start drawing, and I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit on mine. So I'm going to hold my Z tool. I'm just going to click it a little bit. I'm going to actually use my navigator to do that. So then I can use this red square. So I'm going to be drawing. and I need to be able to get to where I want to draw. So I'm going to click back on my pen tool, make sure it still says 10, 100, 150. Then I'm going to start drawing lines. I also need to make sure down here, before I start drawing my lines, that my colors are correct. So right now, this color right here is a light blue. That means it's going to draw in blue. I don't want it to draw in blue, I want it to draw in black. So I am going to click on this D right here. That'll change it automatically to black and white. And now black is my foreground color, which is this first one, and white is my background color. Okay. So I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to break this heart up into little pieces. So I'm going to draw a piece like this, stopping when I get over to the next one. And I'm going to do another one over here. Okay, and I went a little over here. So I'm going to fix that later. I'm not going to do it right now. Okay, and then I'm going to do one here. And one here. Till I have 10 sections. I'm obviously going to have to break some of these sections up because they're getting to be a little big. Like this one over here, I made it really big. So we're going to make it smaller. Just cut it in half a little bit. And make these a little bit smaller. This one, oops, went over on that one too. I'm going to fix that in a second. And then this one should be smaller. Let's make it here. Okay, now you'll see how this line that I did here, I had to end up with a really sharp curve because I didn't have my finger on the trackpad real well. So I'm going to undo it, move the mouse where I want it. And what happened was, this is hard to show you guys, when I started using my trackpad, my finger was in the middle. So by the time I got to the edge, I had run out of trackpad. So I'm going to put my cursor where I want it, which is right here, and I'm going to move my finger all the way to the edge of the trackpad, the right edge of the trackpad. That way when I go to draw my curve, I don't run out of space. Okay, let's count them up. How many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I'm going to put a little dot in them as I count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, that was good. I did that really well. And I'm going to undo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They can go away. Okay, before we can put our colors in, we need to merge these two layers. So I'm going to click on lines and colors, hold my shift key down, click on heart, and I'm going to go to layer, merge layers. And that will merge those two layers into one called lines and colors. Okay. Now I want to fill in my colors. So I'm going to go over here to the gradient tool, click on the gradient tool, choose paint bucket, and then I need to choose my color. I don't want it to be black. So I'm going to click on black, and I'm going to choose a color. So I can choose one of the colors that are here. They start with some pretty good ones. Let's change it to red. If I want to move the red around, because that's a really bright red, I can move my mouse around if I want. I'm going to go ahead and keep it that bright red. Click OK. Now when I use my paint, move my paint bucket over one of the spots, it'll fill it in. So if I drop it here, it's going to turn red. Don't worry about the white around it. We're going to fix that later. Okay, so I'm just going to go around now, picking a different color and filling each of these sections in with a different color. And I'm quickly going to run out of the default colors that I've already chosen. And so now I'm going to have to go make my own. So I'm going to pick a color on here. Let's see, I need a purple. Purple's like down here. Okay, purple, it's not great, but it'll do. Purple. I need a yellow. Let's see. Orange. drag this out of the way if I need to. Move it over here so I can see that I've already got red, orange, yellow, green. I'm going to choose another green. It's a little darker. It's too dark. And I'm just going to keep clicking around until I find a color that I like. That's so great, I'll keep it. And I need a light blue. I don't have one of those yet. And one more color. Let's see. Yellow, green, blue, green, blue, purple, red. Let's see how that one looks. That looks different enough. There we go. Okay, now it's time to go back and clean up all of those little spots that didn't get the color that we needed. So I'm going to create a new layer. Come over here to my new layer button, clicking on new layer. I'm going to rename this layer Touch Up. Hit enter. And I actually need it to be below my lines and colors. So I'm going to click on it and drag it, and it will go below lines and colors. Now they're in the right order that I need them in. Okay. Now I want to zoom in. I'm going to do that with a navigation tool because it's just a little easier for me to see. So I'm going to zoom in so that and then drag this little rectangle down and take one section at a time. Okay. Go a little bit bigger, but I don't need to. I'm going to go back and choose my pen tool. I'm going to make my pen a little smaller. We were at 10, so I'm going to go down just a little. Now, the last one that I did was this purple color. So my purple color is already set. Okay, I'm going to click off that, get rid of it. Oops. Click off that pen tool to make it go away. And then I'm going to go around the edge of this tool. And you'll see the purple start to go away. I'm sorry, the white start to go away. And my black line comes back. Okay, I'm going to click along here. So I wasn't getting the line exactly the way I wanted it, so I upped my brush size to about 16. I made it bigger instead of smaller. And now I can kind of keep track of it a little bit better. So you are going to have to, unless it's a solid line like this purple, you're going to have to click on it. So I'm going to come here and click on that spot. And this one. I'm going to move my mouse just over each little spot that needs to be fixed. Okay, so if I were to turn this over, now this I should be able to do in one swoop. Oh, nope, it wants me to touch it. Okay, now if I were to come over and turn off my purple, my lines and colors layer, you'll see how I've gone around. You'll see I was able to do this in one long line, but these all were little touch-ups. Okay. What it looks like. All right, now I'm ready to go to the next color. So I'm going to click on the color dropper, the color picker. And this time I can choose, if I see all my colors here, which I'm going to go to purple, so I do. I can click on purple that's here, click OK. Move my navigator over a little bit so I can see this whole section. And spot all of those little whites, make them go away. I don't know if this will, oh, I'm gonna get lucky. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Oops, I'm not gonna get lucky anymore. Okay, so I'm gonna do this all the way around all of my shapes. Anywhere that I see a little bit of that white background poking through, I'm gonna hit it with color. Okay, now you can make your size a little bit bigger. Now I've gone up to 20. I don't want to make it too big because, see, now that's too big, it went off the edge. As long as I keep the edge of my circle, so here's my Here's my circle. As long as I keep that edge within the black, I'm okay, and it'll stay within the line. So I have to go back a couple until that goes away. So you click that one and that one. Now I can almost hit two of them in one. I'm going to hit this full corner right here, but I gotta be careful I don't go into the green. All right, so now I've done that one. So I'm going to do that to all 10 of my shapes. Okay, so I've got all my other colors done, but when I went to do red, I clicked on my color picker, red was no longer a choice here. So instead of trying to find that exact same red, if I just move my mouse over here and click it, it changes it to the color. It picks up that color that's underneath it. So that then I can click OK and go back to finish up the last color that I have to do. Okay, so now I'm all done. I can, with my little red thing, come around and double check and make sure I got all my colors. They're all done. So now I need to get this back on the screen so that you can see the whole thing. And, oops, there we go. Click on nav here, my navigator. And I'm ready to move on to the next step. I have all of my colors. Okay, now I need to create our arrows. So we're going to create a new line, add a new line. A new layer. This layer to be on top because it's going to need to go over everything. So we're going to move it up. We're going to call it arrows. I'm going to keep my brush tool. I'm going to move it back down to 10 because that was the size that worked for our lines. I'm going to change my color back to black. It's not an option up here, but it's in this bottom corner down here. So just click anywhere on here and then drag it to this bottom corner. You know you're in the right spot when your red value is 0, your green value is 0, your blue value is 0, and your hex code is 0000000. That is true black. Okay, I'm gonna click OK. And I need to draw an arrow to all of these sections. So obviously there's going to be a little bit of overlap. Like in order to get to this section here, I'm going to have to draw an arrow from crossing over one of the other ones. So I'm going to zoom back in a little bit just because it's easier for me to see and draw. So I'm going to start with my red and draw an arrow over here. Okay. Then I need to label my yellow somewhere. So I'm going to draw an arrow for my yellow back here and put a point on my arrow. Pink. Okay, one thing that I did find that, let me move this over a little bit. If I change my smooth ratio to 0, when it comes time to draw the points of my arrow, I'm able to start drawing. There's no lag between when I start drawing and when my mouse is. So I'm going to change that to 0 and keep it at 0. I'm just going to keep going around. And my blue is going to be, that light blue is going to be my tricky one. So I want this one to come over here with an arrow. And this one comes over here with an arrow. And move it again down here. And you can see the navigator changes. So you can kind of figure out where you want your arrows to go so that you're not doubling them up into, that's a terrible arrow, too many near the same place. That's a little bit better. Okay, and green's going to need to go up this way so that it's out of the way of that blue. Purple is going to come this way. Oops. Getting always hard for me. Here's my mouse. Over my trackpad. Okay, and then the blue one in the center is going to come and fill in. Oops. See, that's another one I was talking about earlier about making sure that you're on the edge of your trackpad to start with. I ran out of space. So I'm going to come back in here, make sure I'm all the way on my edge of my trackpad and I can draw a smoother line. And there we go. Now I'm going to zoom back out. I think 12 was what I needed to see the whole thing. And now I've got all of my arrows, all of my colors, and ready to go to my next step. Okay, so my next step, I need to draw a little key. So I'm going to come back to my shapes, custom shapes, rectangle. I'm going to do a new layer. I'll show you why, because we're going to cheat it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to come back to my shapes, choose a rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to hold my shift key down because I want to get a square, and I want to get a square that's about that big. Right, that did not square up because I let go of my shift key before I was done. Okay, so I want it to be right there. I'm going to stop clicking, then let go of my shift key. Okay, my fill is at a 0. That's fine. You can fix that in a second. Okay, now we need to draw another square over here by my orange. But I worry that if I keep doing this, my squares are going to be the wrong shape. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to name this layer red. We're going to duplicate this layer. Instead of red copy, we're going to call it yellow. And duplicate that one and call it, oops, instead of yellow copy, pink. And I'm going to do this, duplicate layer, rename it green for all of my colors. Now, I'm right-clicking. Right-clicking can be challenging on a Chromebook, so you can also go up to Layer, Duplicate Layer, or you can use your Control J. Now, I'm on a Mac, so I don't have a Control key. This is my Control key symbol, but on yours, it'll say Control J. So when I'm here, if I hit Control J, it'll make another layer. And I can rename this one blue. Okay. Control J, rename orange. I'm going to do that for all of my colors. Now these are two, so I'm going to call this one light purple. I have all those shapes. But where are they? You can't see them. So I'm going to click on one of them. Let's go back to the bottom. Red's where it's supposed to be. Yellow's not. I'm going to click on my Move tool, which is right here. Click on the square and move it over to my yellow shape. Click on my pink square. It's still over here. They are all stacked up in this one little spot. Drag it over to my pink shape. Click on green and drag it over. And I'm going to do that for all the colors. Now, if I click on blue and I move it here, that's going to be great, but I'm going to mess it up with my color. So I'm going to make sure that they are all moved to their right color. Did I skip orange? It looks like I skipped an orange one. Because that's light purple. That's purple. That's dark green. And that's all of them. So I did skip a couple. I skipped light blue. So dark green, I'm going to make a copy of. I'm going to call it light blue. It is now here. I'm going to move it over to green. And I need one more copy because I've got my orange one. And move it over to orange. All right. Now, in order to change the color, I'm going to click on the layer. I'm going to come up here next to my navigator, and I'm going to choose Properties. Then I want to choose Layer, my layer property. It's got my color fill as red. I'm going to change that to red. Okay, so then I'm going to go to my next layer, yellow. I'm going to click on Layer, Color Fill. I don't want it red, I want it yellow. And click OK. Then I'm going to click on the pink one, Layer, Color Fill, Pink. OK. green layer, layer, color fill, bright green. Okay, and I'm going to do that for all of my layers. Now remember, we've got more colors that are on this list. Okay, so I'm going to hit one eventually that I don't have in my color list. And I've done it. I am supposed to be doing my light purple one, which is this red one down here. I don't want that red, I want light purple. So I'm going to double click it, but it's not one of these choices down here. So I'm going to click on the color that I want to fill it with. Okay? Then I need to go to purple, layer, color. It's not there either. I'm going to click on purple. Dark green, layer, color fill, just is there. Okay. And then find a light blue, layer, color fill, light blue, okay, and orange layer, color fill, orange. Okay, so now I've got them all layered. And as I look at this, I see that I'm horribly unbalanced. I should have moved the blue up here or this green over here. It's got way too many over here and not enough over here. That's okay. I can worry about that. Okay, next step. I need to add a text layer and actually say what all of these things mean. So I'm going to click on my text tool. I'm going to click on this little arrow here and find a font that I like. It will give me a preview of them, all the fonts that are available. And I don't want to choose something hard to read because Miss Gabor is going to be reading this and her eyesight is really bad if she's not wearing her glasses. So I'm going to choose something pretty simple. You can choose whatever font you like as long as I can read it. I'm going to go with Engelbert because I know Engelbert is very, very easy to read. I don't know if 24 is going to be an okay size or not. I'm going to have to wait and see. So I'm going to start with red. I'm going to click it. And it's going to load my font. Now, red is going to be the first thing that I love. I love elephants. Okay. Now, looking at this, I can see that I do want it to be bigger because it doesn't really balance with the thickness of this line. So I'm going to highlight my whole word, click on this 24 and make it bigger. Now, the good thing about these sliders is I can keep sliding until I find something I like. So I think I'm going to go around that size. It's just going to be different because you're just going to fit with your word. I'm going to click my move tool so that I can move it closer to my box. Okay, I'm going to click my text tool again. I'm over here to yellow, and yellow is going to be cats. I love cats. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. Move tool, move it where I want. Click on my text tool. I'm going to go ahead and go around and label all of these. I love trouble. And move them where I want them. Okay, so I am not going to show you guys all of them on camera. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and label all of them. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've labeled everything on here. So the last thing that I need to do is I need to put my name on it. I'm going to click the text tool again. I'm going to use a different text this time, a different font, use something that's a little more exciting maybe. Let's try this one. I don't know why I did not, we'll find out. And I need to put my name, oops, spell my name right. I've decided I don't like that text. That font is not fun enough. Highlight it, let's see if I can find one I like better. I like this one. Ooh, I like that one. Let's make it a lot bigger. I think that's probably too big. Move it around so we can see. There we go. Okay, so after I put Miss Gabor, after I did Miss Gabor, I noticed that Tai T had I'd accidentally changed it. So I'm going to click on that layer, and I'm going to go to Character, which is this CHA, change the font, click on the font list, and I used Engelbert. Put it back, and then it'll come back because that was a mistake. And everything looks good. Now I'm looking at this, just kind of, I don't want to just be done. I want it to actually look good, which I really should move those things. But I noticed that like this box here doesn't come into the line very well. So I'm going to go back to my yellow layer, move the box just down a little bit. Then I have to move cats as well. So I'm going to move cats down just a little too. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going around and kind of cleaning up a little bit, making things. Photography. Oh, photography is spelled wrong. That's a mistake. Click on my text tool again. Change photography so it's spelled right. And that green box needs to come down just a little bit. Some of these things you don't see until you've zoomed it back out again. Move that down just a little. And then photography, which is now spelled correctly. And get moved down a little. Looking at everything else. Now, one thing I noticed was that I had 2 travels, so I had to change that one. All right, so now it is all done. I'm going to click download as a PNG. I'm going to download it somewhere where I will remember that it is and attach it to my assignment in Google Classroom.